Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am Mila Clark Buckley, the Hangry Woman, and today we're going to talk about a really interesting topic. It's all of the things that I've learned having type 2 diabetes. What made me want to do this video is that my 4th diaversary or diabetes anniversary is coming up on May 9th. May 9th is when I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes in 2016, and I decided that at that point I was going to just form a community around type 2 diabetes and people who are living with it, and make sure that people know that they felt heard and that there was somebody who was there for them. So I created the Hangry Woman around all of that, and it's so crazy to me that it's been like 4 full years of me living with diabetes, and of course it's had its ups and downs, but I wanted to kind of talk about what I've learned from the perspective of somebody who's been living with it for this amount of time, and just really share kind of my feelings about that ahead of my diaversary as like a way to celebrate. Also, in honor of my diaversary, I'm giving away a copy of my new book, The Diabetes Food Journal. I've talked about it a few times in other videos, but what's exciting and just like wonderful about this book is that it gives you helpful ways to track. It gives you some guidance on how you can set your goals and just overall manage your diabetes in a better way. So I'm giving away a copy of that. Make sure to leave a comment and follow me on Instagram and leave a comment on one of my photos there so that you can be entered in the giveaway. So I'm really excited for that. I'm excited for you guys to get the book, and I'm excited to get started with this video. But first, before we get started, make sure that you give a thumbs up and you subscribe if you like this video. I love making new friends with diabetes and just figuring out and finding out how other people are living with this and dealing with this. And so it's really exciting to get to meet people, get to know people, and just know that there are more of us out there than we think, and we're not alone. So be sure to give that like and subscribe, and let me know that you liked this video. From there, let's get started. One of the first things that I learned about living with type 2 diabetes is that no day is the same. No anything is the same. I give this example that like I blink and my blood sugar goes up sometimes, and it can feel that way. And what's really interesting is that like no two things yield the same result. So one morning I could have like a chia seed pudding with like shredded coconut and strawberries for breakfast. My blood sugar's fine. The next day I can do exactly the same thing and my blood sugar might be sky high. And so sometimes there are days that are unpredictable, but the best thing that you can do is just to troubleshoot and kind of figure out what you did differently in between that can, affect those highs and lows. So I really just find that every day is a little bit different, and that's why journaling is really important for me, because I can kind of notate those things and see what the different patterns are and see what the differences are. So no day being the same is definitely like one thing that I've learned, and I've learned to adapt with it over time and just not beat myself up with it. I try to give myself as much grace as possible because living with diabetes is hard, and I think people often think or say that people with type 2 diabetes are fat, or we're lazy, or we don't take care of our health, and that's why we're in this situation. But the opposite, it couldn't be further from the truth. The opposite is what's true. And when you think about what somebody with diabetes has to go through in a day, how many decisions we have to make about our health in a day, you realize that like this is not like a lazy person's disease. This is not something that you get because you're lazy. It's really hard work, and it's hard work to maintain your health when you have type 2 diabetes. So I think that that's really important to think about, and I went into a tangent on something completely different, but those are all the things I'm learning. You'll also find out that you're stronger than you ever thought you were. So it kind of plays back into thinking about the decisions that you have to make in a day. You can get burnout and you can get fatigued and you can want to give up, but your brain kind of adapts and adjusts to this new normal and to all of the things that you're going through. So when you are, thinking that like you just don't want to try, or it's just too much and it's too hard and it's too much to think about, sometimes your brain switches on that like autopilot mode, and you're kind of just like, okay, well, this is what I have to do. And you start doing it and you start getting there. So I think that you find out that you're strong, that you're capable of more than you ever thought, and that you have this better knowledge about yourself and your health and the ways that you can be strong with it. Something else that I've learned is that community is everything. So I'm heavily involved in the diabetes community, and that's by choice. I joined Facebook groups. I am a guide for Healthline's T2D app. I participate in the DSMA Twitter chat. I talk about diabetes on all of my social media. My blog is about diabetes. Like, I am immersed. And I think that the diabetes online community really changed the way that I saw my diagnosis and changed the way that I decided to connect with people, because I've always been somebody who craves connection and who loves to just be around people. And when I was first diagnosed and I didn't find somebody in like a similar age group that was living with type 2 diabetes as me, because normally people get diagnosed when they're a lot older, I just thought, I need other people. I need to like know people who are living with diabetes, and I want to know people who are my age that are going through this, that want to go out with their friends, or that are, you know, trying to advance in their career and are dealing with this on a daily basis, or that want to travel the world and just have a great time and a great experience in spite of diabetes. And it was something that I didn't find initially. And now I've really found that community, and I found those people who will support me, those friends I can call. And especially in this time, in this climate where we're social distancing and we're away from each other and we're like forced to be apart, the diabetes online community has really gotten me through, because I have this point of connection and I have people who I can talk about my struggles and my triumphs with, and that is so important. So I think if I've learned anything, I should have put this one first, honestly, because it's my favorite one. But find a community, like find a place where you feel comfortable, a safe space where you don't feel judged, and make those friends who are going through the same thing that you are, because once you do that, it's just so much better knowing that you're not alone. And that's the biggest part of living with diabetes, is that community aspect of it. So I think that if you haven't, it's a perfect time to seek out some people who are also living with diabetes and just try and form those bonds and form those friendships, because they'll go a long way. So the next thing I've learned is that technology is an asset. And I know that not everyone can, one, afford technology or can adapt to technology or wants to wear technology. But I wear the Freestyle Libre 14-day system. It's a little white thing on the back of my arm. It's a 14-day device that adheres to the back of my arm. It registers my blood glucose number so that I can learn more about patterns, and then I can check in real time. And checking my numbers in real time has been so important to me, because I used to do 6 finger sticks a day, which was absolutely insane and painful, and my little fingers would always hurt at the end of every single day. And I didn't want to test my blood sugar because I had this like apprehension to the lancet, like the little needle inside of the lancing device, and I didn't want to draw blood every day. And I was just like, I can't do this. And so sometimes I wouldn't test my blood sugar for days at a time, because I was just like, I'm sick of it. I don't want to do this anymore. It's expensive. It hurts. It's annoying. And when you have diabetes, as you all know, it's so important to check your blood sugar and keep tabs. So this little device is amazing, because at any point in the day I can check my numbers. If it's the middle of the night and I wake up and I'm like super thirsty or really sweaty and shaky, I pick up my device, like my scanner, or I pick up my phone, and that's it. Like, I check my blood sugar, I can have peace of mind and go back to sleep, or I can get up and do something about it, depending on where my numbers have been sitting. So it's a really great opportunity to use technology to your benefit. And even if it's something that you can't wear all the time, or you don't want to wear it all the time, it's something that's great to try, because it will especially give you an idea of the overall picture of your health, and you'll be able to check a lot more. So I initially started out checking about the same amount of times a day, I think, because I was used to that. And now I actually tend to check more. I check like 15 times a day, which seems excessive, but it's nice. It's just nice to know. It's nice that you have it there, and it's great that it's a device that you can use. So, use technology to your benefit, whether that is an app that helps you check your blood sugar, or it's a CGM that you place on your body so that you can monitor your blood sugar, or if you're using a pump. People with type 2 don't often use pumps. I personally would love to be a pump user one day and just try it out for myself and see what happens, and see if it makes my diabetes management a little better. But right now I use insulin pens to inject. So just looking at the overall picture of technology and what's available and what's out there and what's accessible to you is really important. And that's something that I've learned, is that you can't take that technology for granted, because it really is helpful, and it can do a lot to change your blood sugar numbers, your A1C, and help them go in a positive direction. Another thing that I've learned the hard way is that people make assumptions about you when you say that you have diabetes. So people make assumptions about me without saying that I have diabetes. I've gotten comments on my YouTube channel, on Twitter, on Instagram saying you're fat, no wonder you have diabetes, you are obese, and that's why you're in this position. The recipes that you make are terrible for you, and it's obvious because you're fat and because you're whatever. Like, they all center around me being fat, and I'm kind of like, I've been fat for my whole life, and like, okay, this is how I am, this is who I am, and all that I can do is take control of my health and manage my health. And so people make assumptions about you and about diabetes and about how it's caused and how you take care of it and what you did to deserve diabetes and all of the things under the sun, everything that you can think of. So I have found that it's just, best to move on from that. You know what you're doing, you know how healthy or not you are, you know what your goals are. You and your doctor are the two people who understand that best, and that's all who needs to know. So when somebody makes an assumption about you, when you know it's not true, I think that's when it hurts less. It still hurts that people make those assumptions. It still hurts that people make judgments about people with diabetes based on their own really misinformed ideas about what diabetes is and who gets it and who has it and why you get it and what the causes are. But at the end of the day, when you're doing the best for yourself, like, that's what you have to focus on. And any opinion that is not your doctor's and not your own does not matter. I just want to tell you that. Any other opinion does not matter. That's it. Ugh, I hate that topic. It makes me so mad. I get like really fired up because I deal with so much harassment online about my weight and about the way that I look that it just makes me upset because I am doing truly the best that I can. Honestly, I am. And I resent those comments a lot, and I resent people who make those comments because they're crappy. So that's the end of that. I'm not going to talk about that anymore. Okay, and one last thing that I've learned about diabetes in this full 4 years of living with it is that it's on your mind all the time. Diabetes doesn't go away. You can manage diabetes. Some people say you can put it into remission. I think that you still always have it if you go back to whatever habits or whatever things set diabetes in motion for you in the first place, you're going to get it back. So I personally think that you can manage it and manage it well, but you're always going to have diabetes. But it's always going to be on your mind. Like, no matter what you eat, no matter what you exercise, no matter if you're at dinner with friends or you're going out to have just a fun day out, diabetes is always on your mind. And maybe it's like that for just me, but I feel like I have this this constant little section in my brain. It's actually not a big section. It's probably half my brain is always thinking about diabetes. The other half is food and exercise and my husband and my dogs and our house and our bills and my business and my book and my friends and my family, and that's the rest of it. But diabetes takes up such a huge amount of brain space because it's just constant in your life. It's always something that you're going to have to think about and that you're going to have to work hard managing. And so I think that that's just something that we tend to we just don't anticipate that. I think we don't anticipate that diabetes is going to take up so much of our brain space, but it really does. And over these 4 years, it's honestly one of the things that I think about the most in my life. So I really just encourage you to take those breaks of self-care and kind of get it out of your head and find other hobbies and find other things that you like to do, because diabetes is always going to be there and it may occupy a lot of your brain space, but you don't want that to burn you out, and you want to stay encouraged as you're trying to manage in the best way. Okay guys, so that's it for this video. I really appreciate you listening to my kind of ramblings about what I've learned. I want to know what you've learned too, so leave me a comment and let me know what you've learned about diabetes, what you've observed, whether it's positive or negative. It's always great just to know what you guys think and how you guys feel and what really makes sense to you. And I also want to know how long you've been living with diabetes, because I find it encouraging when I find people who have been thriving and living with it for a decade or more than a decade, and especially when it comes to type 2, because it's rare to hear those stories. So I want to know your story. I want to know how long you've been living with it. I want to know what you've learned in the time that you've had diabetes, and maybe what you wish you knew about diabetes. So leave me that comment and let me know. Also remember that when you leave a comment, you'll be entered to win the Diabetes Food Journal, which is my new released food journal, and which is so crazy. It was released this week, and it is in the week of my Diversary, which I just love so much. So you'll get entered to win my book, and we'll just build a great conversation from there. So again, be sure to like and subscribe. Make sure that you click the notification bell so you get my videos whenever they pop up. I'm trying to record more videos as time goes on, so definitely make sure that you are getting notified of that, and I will see you guys in the next one. Take care.